So, about a week ago, I believe, as I double check, actually about 5 days ago, I uploaded a video where I basically said that what AEW needs to do, not if, but when Shane McMahon shows up, is to give him a live mic and let him go to town. Literally, let him, tear AEW justifiably, work shoot, legitimate shoot, whatever, work shoot, but mostly legitimate shoot. Let him literally rip AEW a new one. Let him bring the lights up on the arena, the venue they're in, to show how, not so packed that it is. Basically, how a majority, a majority of it is empty. Literally, just let him pipe bomb all the issues plaguing All Elite Wrestling right now, and as to why this is the reason Jon Moxley and his crew are doing what they're doing. Because, when you really think about it, John's coming out and saying he doesn't like how AEW's become, or what it's become and everything. And basically, that's all based in reality. He, along with us regular fans and hardcore fans and diehards, are not happy with what the company's turned into. And thus he has justifiable reason as to want to basically bring it to its knees, as to want it to change for the better, because he's used to seeing sold out, or at least nearly sold out venues that they go into. He's used to a lot of talents, like a Marina Shafir, like a Pac, like a Claudio, getting opportunities, like a Willa Yuta, getting opportunities when people think they shouldn't, but they do, to prove that they are everything they say they are. So to me, I stick by saying what I did. Shane McMahon needs to have that opportunity given to him when he comes in, to basically work shoot, more legitimate shoot, network shoot than anything, on all, the situation, all the criticisms that have been heading towards AEW's direction, and mostly do it right to Tony Khan's face, if, people can convince Tony Khan to be part of this, moment in time, in a moment in history, not just for wrestling, but for AEW in general. He needs to do it to Tony Khan's face. And what's interesting is a lot of people look at, this past Wednesday, the post-Dynamite, the post-Wrestle Dream edition of Dynamite, and a lot of people are like, what the hell is going on here? What kind of explanation, besides Moxley saying, hey, you basically work for me now, are we getting? Where's the next real chapter? Where's the next real step in the storyline besides, okay, it's an insurrection angle, or insurrection, coup, coup from within, if you will, take over coup from within. Where's the next logical answer? There wasn't any, except for what Moxley gave us, and that was it. And it's like, okay, well, is there anything else? Is there anything else that you want to let us in on? Is there any other reason why, he's warning everybody that if you're associated with AEW, you're under attack? What's the reason? Besides, basically you're saying, oh, I'm just sick and tired of what the company's become. And it's like, that, give us a reason, give us an answer. Not going to say anything about that, but anyway, what's the end game? What is the answer besides, oh, you work for me now, and I don't like what AEW's become? You need more clarity, if you will. And if you want more clarity, you need to give it to not just the talent that, is basically being told by Moxley that, hey, if you work for AEW, you're under attack. But you need to give it to the fans. You need to give it to the fans. And this is why when Shane, like I said, gets revealed, you need him to come out, do a work shoot, legitimate work shoot, if you will, more emphasis on shoot, on the current status of the product. Have Tony Khan and Christopher Daniels, because because in story, or at least, on camera, Daniels is a interim EVP. Have them both, I should say, be out there when Shane McMahon drops his pipe bomb on the state of AEW. Have him do that. Because you have a lot of people saying, through a lot of what they see through photos and videos, that basically AEW is at WCW 2000 levels. And that's not good. That's not good at all. That they're at AEW 2000, not AEW, but WCW late 1999 to 2001 levels. But here's a little credit I want to give WCW. Even towards the end, they were able to sell out. Well, not sell out, but they were able to get a decent enough crowd in the venues they booked. Yeah, the venues may have been bigger than what they should have booked. I'll give them that. But at least they were able to get decent crowds. And even towards the end, they realized, look, we're not going to be able to do this venue or that venue for Nitro or Thunder. Let's do something else. And even if they did said venue, like I said, they were able to get a decent amount of people. That's usually a good sign that, people are still invested in the company. That they still want to see that brand and style of wrestling and sports entertainment. When it comes to AEW, the 5 years in existence, they should not be at this level. They should not be at this level of, just, selling out half, 1/3, if you will. Selling out 1/3 of the arena when they should be, when they should be selling out the entire venue. Everybody looks back at Revolution this past year and basically says that that's the state of AEW they used to see. Not just for the pay-per-views, but on a weekly basis. But now you ask, where is it? What happened? Where is that sellout? Or where is that close to sellout, but decent enough to say, hey, big crowd, big crowd and deservingly so. Where is it? It's nowhere. They can't even sell out their pay-per-views, lately. They can't even do that. They come close to doing it, but they can't. You would think, Wrestle Dream, for right now, being Bryan Danielson's last full-time match, if not last match period, depending on the doctor's, I guess you could say, answers to his status after his surgeries and everything he's going to get, you couldn't even sell out the Tacoma Dome? The Tacoma Dome. And that basically is a big enough venue to where they could sell it out. But you couldn't even do that. And then everybody's wondering, okay, why was Dynamite so lackluster this past Wednesday? And why was the crowd so dead? Well, one, AEW Dynamite, the post Wrestle Dream, the post Wrestle Dream edition of it was lackluster creatively because, let's be in agreement, Tony Khan him and his crew do not know how to continue from one chapter of an angle to another. That's obvious. But the other reason why the crowd was so silent in San Jose is because they were in the SAP Center. The SAP Center, which is the home of the NHL San Jose Sharks, and is the home of the IFL Indoor Football League San Jose, if not Bay Area, Sabercats and Panthers. That's what it is. That's what it is. And those events, obviously sell out very well. Excuse me. And even wrestling sells out very well. If that venue, the SAP Center in San Jose, I've never been in it, believe it or not, but I've seen it. We drove through San Jose on several occasions. That place houses about 17,000 to 18,000 people, attendance-wise. Now you add in additional seating for wrestling, and you're looking at nearly 20,000 people. And I made this remark on Twitter /X the other day. I said, that I would not be surprised if WWE was to run a non-televised live event at the SAP Center. I would not be surprised if they would be able to sell that out. Compared to Dynamite. Dynamite is supposed to be the A show for AEW, the flagship, and everybody knows with wrestling being as hot as it is, especially thanks to WWE right now, everybody knows that basically it doesn't matter what company is doing the wrestling, it should have a sellout or near sellout crowd. We're not seeing that. And that's unfortunate. It's like, how many people were there last night? Like 7,000, 5,000? I mean, not last night, but Wednesday night. Who was that? 7,000, 5,000? That is like, basically filling up one side of the venue and the other side is topped off from top to bottom. That doesn't make sense. And this is why people wonder why Tony Khan and his crew cannot look at what WWE did with NXT last Tuesday, not this past Tuesday, but last Tuesday, why they can't do what NXT did. NXT was going to be at a bigger venue in St. Louis last week, but when they saw, hey, we're not selling well, let's move it to another well-known wrestling venue in the St. Louis area, the Factory, and see what happens there. What happens at the Factory? They sell it out. This is why people wonder why Tony Khan doesn't do the same thing. And it's all because Tony is too proud. He's too proud to admit when he is in the wrong. He is too proud to admit when he is in the wrong. And this is why, again, I stick by saying that when Shane shows up, you give him a live mic, let him work shoot, more emphasis on shoot, on the status of AEW, have him lift the lights up on the venue, show the lackluster attendance, and tell Tony that what you need to do is readjust. Heck, if I'm the AEW, I have Shane bring up the fact that formerly his family's company readjusted where they were going to be for their third brand, their yellow brand, their developmental brand or whatever. Have him bring it up saying, hey, originally they were going to be in this venue in St. Louis, but when they saw they weren't selling it out, they decided to move and relocate to a venue in a nearby town, which, by the way, as soon as they did, sold out instantly. Have him bring that up to Tony and Christopher Daniels on camera and in the ring. Have him bring it up. Have him bring it up so that way, in front of the world, AEW and Tony Khan can show that, hey, we're not ashamed to admit, yeah, we have some things to still learn from. We still have a lot of mistakes to fix, and we're publicly acknowledging it so that we could show you we're willing to go and try and do that. It's one of those situations to where something like that, a moment like that, where you have a Shane McMahon show up and say that stuff, is necessary to get people to talk about your company and why they should pay attention to it and why it's important to the wrestling business. Because let me tell you something right now. They could be happy with this new deal they have and everything with Max and WBD, and that's great, that's fine. All power to them. But we all know a deal is just as good as the paper it's signed on. Because let's not forget, WCW, the people at WCW, Eric Bischoff, later on Vince Russo and all of them, all thought, whether they admit it or not, all thought they had a home for life with TBS and TNT, even despite the AOL Time Warner merger. But what happened? In the end, they got canceled because AOL Time Warner didn't value wrestling as a substitute, or not substitute, but a sellable, a subtle addition to the programming. They didn't want it. They didn't feel like it was important. And you know why? Because WCW, the people mismanaging WCW eternally from booking and all that, they made it that way. They made it that way. They made it unattractive when it was attractive before. When it was attractive before and it was on that hot streak of 83 weeks plus, you know, there's no doubt in my mind AOL Time Warner would have wanted to keep it. But they didn't. Instead, it became so unattractive, they wanted nothing to do with it. You know, they wanted nothing to do with it. So, what happened? WWE ended up buying it. You know, basically ruining any chance of Bischoff trying to keep it on television or trying to work something out because the mismanagement behind the scenes made it unattractive. And that ruined any chance WCW had of being on a network or having a cable network or outlet for life. You know, when it came to the product. Could be. And the same could be said for AEW. Yes, this new media rights contract and everything is all nice and shiny and great and everything, and it's all signed, sealed, delivered. But who's to say that WBD and whoever takes over in the next couple of years, because we're not guaranteed that David Zaslav is going to be there over the next few years, with everything going on eternally with WBD and the fact that it could get sold as well. Especially the part of the WBD which AEW is under, or is part of, I should say. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the next several years. I mean, if that part of WBD with AEW, a part of it, gets sold off to somebody else, what if that somebody that buys that portion of WBD with AEW that has AEW a part of it, what if that person says, you know what? AEW is not doing so good in the ratings. Their attendance is low. Nothing makes sense. Let's get rid of it. And let's make sure no other network gets it because obviously, we wouldn't want them as basically colleagues to have a worthless product. Because that could happen. Word could get around from one cable channel network to another. Hey, don't take this show because you're going to have a worthless product on your hand. And the thing is, people have to realize that in the next few years, if that kind of stuff happens, not saying it will, AEW could end up in the same situation as WCW. New media rights contract deal be damned. If part of WBD gets sold, which AEW is connected with, AEW could be long gone before this current contract is up. Forget about an optional fourth year, and all that. They'd barely be happy if they can make it past the third year. This is why things need to change. And this is why that moment that I mentioned should happen. It's not a moment they should think about making happen. They should make it happen. It's a moment they should say, Shane, go out there, pipe bomb this place. Set it ablaze. Tell everybody publicly in front of the world on Dynamite what is wrong with this company. Lit up, heck, we'll do whatever you want us to do. You want us to turn all the lights on in the venue to show how empty it is? We'll do it. They need to put emphasis on this moment. When it, not if it happens, but when it happens. They need to put emphasis on this so that way they will show the world that they're not ashamed of admitting the wrongs and the mistakes they've made and that they are willing to improve on them. They need to do this. They need to. And, look, I want AEW to stick around. We all do. We all want it to stick around. There's no denying that. We want All Elite Wrestling to stay around as long as it can. But unless it doesn't do something to address publicly that, hey, they've made a lot of mistakes, they have done a lot of things that they are not happy about, and that they're hiding from the public and they're not going to hide anymore, unless they do that, AEW, like I said, forget about that optional 4th year. They'd barely be happy if they made it out of the 3rd year, depending on what the future for the WBD is. You know? I mean, AEW's issues, long stem from a lot of mismanagement similar to WCW. And not just, from venue booking wise and all that, but creatively. I mean, like I said earlier about the whole Moxley thing. It's like, yeah, he said what he did, but where's the rest? Where's the rest of the meat on that bone? There's got to be more to, the situation than, it's just another invasion insurrection angle, that's very NWL Bullet Club inspired. It's like, where's the rest of it? What's the reasoning? You talk about, somebody else, but who is this somebody else? What's going on? And it's not just that either, because potentially this is a storyline that basically will outdo, if not basically put to rest, the storyline, that, the Young Bucks, the Young Bucks and Okada and Jack Perry started, because it's a lot better. We'll admit it. Yeah, despite its flaws, it's a lot better than that one. And it's basically looks like it's going to, and basically what it looks like they're trying to do is not only go away from that, the Young Bucks elite, the Young Bucks elite Okada Perry insurrection takeover storyline. They're not only trying to go away from that and give it to a better option in the Moxley group, but it looks like, at least try to give them some credit, that they might be using it as a vehicle, as a means to turn the elite, at least the Bucks and Okada, not sure about Perry, but the Bucks and Okada babyface as part of Team AEW. That's what it seems like they're trying to do. Not saying that they are. But, again, that's giving them too much credit, but who knows? They might surprise us, hopefully. But it's not just this either. It's not just the storyline either. People are pointing out the whole Adam Cole MJF thing and how obviously they had to hit the reset button on that. Okay, I admit, there was legit gripe about that. Like, wait a minute. Adam Cole's the one that began all this. He should be the heel, not MJF. But yet now you're in a situation to where the roles are reversed? All because they didn't decide to keep MJF as a tweener at least and an anti-hero? Upon his return when he first came back this year? Instead, they wanted to go full-fledged heel with him? All because they wanted to make Daniel Garcia a major babyface and give him something to feud with? Or someone to feud with? I mean, come on. Like, what sense does that make? You could give him Daniel Garcia, MJF to feud with, but make MJF, the tweener to where he's still going to be MJF. He's still going to do MJF things, but, he's doing it basically because he has the DTA mentality of a Stone Cold. Don't trust anybody, even if that somebody wants to help you out, like a Daniel Garcia. And then you give Garcia a reason to go after MJF, saying, hey, you don't trust anybody, but I'm not about to let you get away with just, making me bleed and trying to end my career. Give him a reason to go after that. Like, hey, I agree, don't trust anybody, which means don't trust you either. So, give him a reason then, and that would make sense. But instead, you're going to make him full-fledged heel again? I mean, yeah, naturally it comes easy for him, but it's like, really, you're going to make him a full-fledged heel again? It doesn't make any sense. Especially if you were still planning on doing him and Adam Cole. Because upon Adam Cole's return, you could turn MJF from the tweener back to the face, with the MJF tweener, if not heelish attitude along with it, and there you go. Perfectly makes sense. But no, instead they're going to go Adam Cole against MJF, Adam Cole babyface, MJF, the heel, and Adam Cole's reasoning is of, the only way you can fight evil is with evil. It's like, okay, fine, that makes a little sense, but, it doesn't explain why you went through all the trouble to create your undisputed, era-inspired Undisputed Kingdom, and now suddenly you're just going to put that to the wayside because, you're going to focus on Maxwell only because he's the true evil. I don't know. It's just a lot of confusion It's not a lot of clarity. And now you're basically teasing not only the fact that you're going to do the match at Full Gear, because that's where it's heading, but you're basically teasing that you're going to have MJF basically go down the same path he's gone through with a lot of opponents. Cody, Jericho, you name it. And what's that direction, you might ask? Basically making Adam jump through hoops just to get to him. It doesn't make any sense. I will admit that. Again, if he was the tweener upon his return, an anti-hero with the DTA attitude of, I don't trust anybody, and oh, by the way, you shouldn't trust me either, especially when it comes to the moment he turns on Garcia, then so be it. Makes more sense in that way than what they're currently doing from a creative storyline perspective. And then speaking of heels, one big question a lot of people have is, what are you doing with Chris Statlander? I mean, yeah, you let her have a reason. What was it, on Collision or Rampage? Where she basically said that she turned on her best friend because Stokely got in her ear. And she was wrong to listen to Stokely. And that's why she's dropped him? Because now she's realizing, oh, he was lying to her? Where was this Statlander during the whole Willow situation, huh? Where was this Statlander after their match at All Out, or building to the match at All Out, or whatever, to where even if she won, she would realize, wait a minute, it's a street fight, yeah, that's true, but I won in a way that I didn't want to win the street fight. It's like, where was this Statlander during the whole situation with Willow when she turned on her, making her question whether or not Willow's really at fault here? It didn't make any sense, in my opinion. And now you're trying to basically position her as, a legit badass again. Not with the alien gimmick, but a legit badass. And you're doing this by basically sending her after Mercedes Moné in the TBS Championship. A championship that she legitimately didn't lose because of injury. Or didn't lose because of injury. And you're going to make her go through hoops by having her go one-on-one with Camille. It's like, what sense does this make? It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And everybody that has been justified in the criticism about, Statlander going face, and yeah, you gave her a reason, but what was this reason? What was this Statlander doing the Willow feud? Before, during, and after, where was this Statlander? Because pretty much after the Willow match at All In, you had her still portrayed as the freaking heel. It doesn't make any sense. It's like they don't know what to do. They don't have a long-term plan, and that's a bad thing. Because if you're going to go the week-by-week planning route, that's not going to help you. And like I said earlier, you'll be barely happy to make it past 3 years and instead of having that optional 4th year. Because, again, we don't know what the future holds for WBD. It could get sold, or at least part of it could get sold, and that part that includes AEW along with it, that could basically mean bad news for AEW because the new owners can be like, yeah, we don't want it anymore, and hey, we're going to let other cable outlets and colleagues know, hey, don't pick this up because you're going to have a dead product. It's decisions like what they're doing with Statlander. It's decisions like what they're doing with, not creatively, well, not just, creatively and bookingly. It's decisions like that. It's decisions of not giving us a straight answer and still doing rhymes and riddles, and everything with the Moxley situation. It's basically booking venue-wise that is essentially killing this company. And this is why I stick by what I said. You have Shane O'Mac come in. You have Shane McMahon come in. And his first night in, you give him that mic. You let him pipe bomb that company into oblivion publicly and in front of the world. You have him turn the lights on the entire venue. Show how empty it is. Have him bring up all the criticisms and mistakes AEW is making to Tony Khan and by extension Christopher Daniels' face. Because you got to have Daniels there with him. You have him do that. You have him bring up the fact that he has Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor is a dead product and it's basically become his equivalent of the NXT developmental brand. You have him bring up all these mistakes. And you basically have him, have him get it publicly known and admitted. And then you go from there. Because it will get people to tune in to AEW to see what happens next. Once that's all addressed and, all that dirty laundry is put out in front of the world publicly, it'll have people tune into AEW, next week or the following weeks, in the weeks that follow, I should say. And they're going to want to know they're going to want to see how this gets fixed. They're going to want to see publicly how this gets fixed, in front of their eyes. Because if nothing gets fixed, AEW is not going to survive even up to that third year. Or they're not going to survive barely past that third year of this new contract. And that's a fact. That's reality. But yeah, they have a lot to address. And Shane McMahon comes in, give him that moment. Let this all be aired out. Get people to tune into your product and go from there. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere if you haven't already. Like the video. Ring the bell for notification. Subscribe to the channel. Click on the links to where you can find me all across social media. Also, check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, and also check me out at divanart.com at BVW1979. But guys, give me your thoughts. Love to hear each and every one of your opinions on this. And tell me what you think's going on. Tell me what you think should happen. And tell me if you think AEW, if they don't fix things right now, let me know if you think they'll make it past, the third year, but not get that fourth year. And you think they could suffer the same fate WCW did if part of WBD, as rumors have persisted in the past, could get sold to somebody else, and that somebody else says, we're done with AEW. Let me know. Love to hear your thoughts on this, and until then, I am out.